Story 1 by Mora. It was a moonless night when I found myself driving down a desolate road in the heart of the countryside. I was in search of an adventure, something off the beaten path, and I had heard rumors of an abandoned inn nestled deep within the woods. Intrigued, I decided to embark on a journey that would forever etch itself into my memory. After what felt like an eternity, the skeletal remains of a dilapidated building came into view. This was the inn I had heard about, its existence known to only a few brave souls. The sight was unsettling. The decaying structure stood as a grim testament to the passage of time. Curiosity pushed me forward, and I cautiously stepped through the creaking doorway. The air inside was thick with an ancient mustiness that tickled my nose and sent shivers down my spine. Broken glass littered the floor, reflecting the pale light of the moon that managed to pierce through the cracks in the roof. The silence was deafening, save for the occasional scurrying of unseen creatures. I ventured further into the inn, my footsteps echoing through the empty halls. The walls were adorned with faded wallpaper, peeling away like the skin of a forgotten memory. The place seemed frozen in time, as if the last guest had left in a hurry, never to return. In one of the rooms, I stumbled upon a decaying guest book. Its pages, yellowed and brittle, were filled with names and dates that dated back decades. As I thumbed through the entries, a sense of melancholy washed over me. Each name represented a traveler who had sought refuge within these walls, but their stories remained untold, lost to the decay of time. As night descended, a chill ran down my spine, and I could no longer ignore the feeling of being watched. Shadows danced along the walls, their movements sinister and malicious. The air grew heavy with an unexplainable malevolence, and a sense of impending doom settled upon me like a suffocating blanket. The inn seemed to come alive around me, its derelict hallways transforming into a labyrinth of terror. Whispers echoed through the corridors, mocking my presence. Doors slammed shut in the distance, trapping me in a maze of darkness. I felt a presence closing in, an entity from beyond the veil, hungry for my soul. Panic seized my heart, and I sprinted through the inn, desperately searching for an exit. But the layout seemed to shift, the corridors warping and rearranging themselves, trapping me in an ever-changing nightmare. The walls seemed to breathe, pulsating with a malevolent energy that threatened to consume me. Just as I thought all hope was lost, a faint glimmer of light appeared ahead. With newfound determination, I raced toward it, my heart pounding in my chest. The exit was within reach, and I burst through the door, gasping for air as I stumbled out into the night. As I looked back at the inn, it stood ominously against the darkness, as if mocking my escape. Its shattered windows seemed to stare back at me, promising an eternity of nightmares. I vowed never to return, but the memory of that night haunts me still, a chilling reminder of the horrors that can lurk in the most unsuspecting corners of the world. To this day, I can't help but wonder what secrets the abandoned inn holds, what dark forces remain within its decaying walls, patiently awaiting their next victim. And I caution anyone who dares to venture there. Beware, for once you enter, there may be no escape from the clutches of the inn's haunting embrace. Story 2 by Helga. It was a moonlit night as Sarah and Mark embarked on a road trip across a desolate stretch of highway known as Route 13. Their destination was a quaint coastal town, promising scenic beauty and a much-needed deity, and a much-needed escape from their mundane lives. Little did they know that their journey would take an unforeseen turn into the realm of terror. As they traveled deeper into the night, the road seemed to stretch endlessly, surrounded by dense forests that whispered with hidden secrets. Sarah's fingers tapped nervously on the steering wheel, and Mark's eyes scanned the darkness for any sign of civilization. But the highway remained eerily devoid of life, as if it existed in a realm detached from reality. As the clock struck midnight, a thick fog rolled in, shrouding the road ahead. Visibility dwindled to mere feet, and the headlights seemed feeble against the oppressive darkness. Unease settled in their hearts, but they pressed on, their only solace being each other's presence. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the mist, standing in the middle of the road. Sarah slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching against the pavement. They sat in silence, their breaths shallow, as the figure slowly turned to face them. It was a woman, dressed in a tattered white gown, her eyes hollow and vacant. The woman extended a trembling hand, beckoning them to follow. Mark's instinct was to flee, but curiosity gripped him. Against Sarah's pleas, he stepped out of the car, drawn to the mysterious woman like a moth to a flame. Sarah, overcome with worry, reluctantly followed. They trailed behind the woman, her form disappearing and reappearing in the dense fog. Their surroundings seemed to shift, the trees morphing into grotesque shapes that loomed menacingly over them. Whispers carried on the wind, indistinguishable yet chilling to the bone. After what felt like an eternity, they arrived at an abandoned graveyard hidden away in the heart of the forest. The woman stopped at a weathered tombstone, her fingers tracing the inscription. With a voice filled with sorrow, she revealed her name, Sarah's name, etched into the stone. Confusion and terror intertwined within Sarah's mind. The realization dawned upon her that they had stumbled upon a malevolent spirit trapped between worlds, forever cursed to relive a tragic fate. She grabbed Mark's arm, urging him to leave, but their path back was lost in the labyrinth of mist and darkness. Desperation engulfed them as they frantically searched for an escape, but the spectral woman seemed to appear at every turn, her gaze haunting and sorrowful. The air grew colder, biting at their skin, as if the very fabric of reality was unraveling around them. Time lost all meaning as they wandered through the ethereal maze. The spirits of the forgotten dead whispered their anguish, their mournful cries echoing through the graveyard. Sarah and Mark's sanity teetered on the edge, their souls teetering between the realm of the living and the realm of the damned. Just when all hope seemed lost, a distant glimmer of light pierced the fog. It was the highway, their salvation from this nightmarish purgatory. With renewed determination, they raced toward it, their hearts pounding in their chests. As they broke free from the fog's suffocating grip, they glanced back one final time, witnessing them. Sarah and Mark sped away from the haunted highway, their bodies trembling with the residual terror. The memory of that night would forever haunt their dreams, a reminder of the fragile boundary between the living and the dead, and the darkness that lurks in the unexplored corners of the world. And to this day, those who dare to venture down Route 13 whisper tales of the spectral woman, warning others to avoid the haunted highway, lest they become entangled in the tortured spirit's eternal torment. Story 3 by Rudy. In a small, forgotten town shrouded in perpetual mist, there was an old, crumbling Victorian house that stood as a macabre relic of the past. Locals whispered tales of its haunting, but none dared to venture near after dark. It was said that within those decaying walls lay a horror beyond comprehension. One gloomy autumn evening, driven by morbid curiosity, a group of friends decided to explore the house. They were lured by the stories and the thrill of the unknown, unaware of the terror that awaited them. As they cautiously stepped through the threshold, the air grew heavy with an unsettling stillness. The dim light of their flashlights cast eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper, revealing glimpses of faded floral patterns that had long lost their beauty. Dust danced in the beams of light, creating an ethereal spectacle that seemed almost alive. In one corner of the room, they discovered a tattered rocking chair. Its wood creaked ominously as if still in use, despite its apparent abandonment. But what caught their attention was the doll perched on its lap. It was a porcelain doll, its once delicate features marred by time. Its glassy eyes stared unblinkingly into the void, seemingly holding secrets within its hollow gaze. The friends exchanged nervous glances, but the allure of the doll was irresistible. One of them reached out to touch it, a shiver coursing through their fingertips as they made contact. With that simple act, the atmosphere in the room shifted, and a presence seemed to awaken. Whispers filled the air, disembodied voices murmuring incomprehensible words that clawed at their sanity. The walls closed in, trapping them in a suffocating embrace. The doll's expression twisted into a sinister grin, and its eyes seemed to glow with a malevolent light. The group tried to escape, their panic escalating with each passing moment, but the house had become a labyrinth of nightmares. Doors slammed shut before them, trapping them in rooms that morphed into twisted mazes. The air grew colder, biting at their skin like icy tendrils. Their only solace was the doll, which remained motionless on the rocking chair, seemingly watching their torment with sadistic delight. Its presence grew more oppressive, its influence seeping into their minds like a venomous poison. Sanity unraveled, and the line between reality and nightmare blurred. Hours turned into an eternity as the friends descended further into madness. They could no longer distinguish between their own terrified screams and the whispers that echoed through the house. Shadows danced along the walls, contorting into grotesque shapes that taunted their fragile grip on reality. Just as it seemed they would be consumed by the house's malevolence, a glimmer of hope appeared. The group stumbled upon an ancient journal hidden away in a forgotten corner. Its pages spoke of a ritual, a way to appease the vengeful spirits that plagued the house. Desperation fueled their determination, and they followed the instructions meticulously. As the final words were spoken, an otherworldly shriek pierced the air, shaking the house to its very foundation. The walls trembled, cracks spiderwebbing across their surface, as if the spirits themselves were being torn from their ethereal prison. Suddenly, silence fell upon the house, broken only by the sound of their own ragged breaths. The malevolence that had consumed the air dissipated, replaced by an eerie calmness. The doll, once a harbinger of terror, now appeared lifeless, devoid of the evil that had possessed it. With trembling limbs and hearts heavy with the weight of their experience, the friends fled the house, vowing never to speak of what they had witnessed. But the memory of the forgotten doll would forever haunt their dreams, a reminder of the darkness that lurks within the most innocent of objects. And as the years passed, the Victorian house stood as a foreboding monument, a warning to those who dared to venture near. The doll, forgotten but not lost, remained hidden away, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to awaken the horrors that lie dormant within its delicate porcelain frame.